Good morning, friends. Welcome back. Oh, wait. All right. Okay. Good morning, friends. We are celebrating Disciples Mission Fund, all the things that we are able to do together, all the more that we can do together than we can alone. Our mission fund and all the ways that it is put into action. Acts 1:8, right, says you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes, and you'll be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all the earth and in Judea and Samaria to the ends of the earth. It wasn't enough just for them to do mission in their local community, but God said God would send power. They would do mission and ministry to the ends of the earth. Disciples Mission Fund enables us to do mission right from our doorsteps to the ends of the earth as well. And we are celebrating and listening well and learning today about Disciples Mission Fund and all that it makes happen, the ministry that it makes happen. And friends, I'm so thrilled that right now we are joined by some of the leaders of the National Benevolent Association since 1887. That's over 130 years, right? This is our health and social services witness and ministry in the world. And we're so grateful that four leaders from MBA are going to join us and tell us, right, about instances of collaboration and all the different ministry partners that they work with. But they're going to highlight some of that for us today. So indeed, stay tuned, tell your friends they need to jump online if they're not here to hear about the National Benevolent Association. Friends, I'm now in a second going to be joined by the Reverend April Luton. We're so grateful for her, and she'll do more extended introductions. The Reverend Bede Gespoto is going to join us as well. Jocelyn Spence, MBA leader, is going to be with us, and then a trustee of the National Benevolent Association, who's also a regional minister, Richie Sanchez, is going to join us as well. Welcome to each of you. We really are overjoyed that you're here and looking forward to hearing more about the powerful work that you do.
Hello, and greetings on this Disciples Mission Fund Day. Welcome to all of you. It is a real joy and a privilege to be on this social media live. Greetings to all those who are logged on and actually watching live. Greetings also to those who will watch the recorded session. We know it takes effort, intentionality, and planning to make space in your schedules to listen and engage in events like this, and we thank you. Thank you to Reverend Yvonne Gilmore, Vice President and Chief of Staff for the Office of General Ministry, General Minister and President. Your invitation to MBA and to us means a great deal, and we really are pleased to be here. Special thanks also to Brenda Rossi and Kara Gilger, who are helping make this live stream happen today. Indeed, it is a we that is online this morning. Allow me to offer some brief introductions of spectacular people who are present today. Reverend Richie Sanchez serves as Regional Minister and President of the Pacific Southwest region of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, and is indeed a member of our MBA Board of Trustees. We're super grateful, especially for this early hour in your time zone that you are joining. Not only are you pastor to the pastors for your region and disciples communities across the Pacific Southwest, you always convey a joy of ministry and an intentional care for people. Thank you, Pastor Richie, for your presence. Jocelyn Spence is our MBA Director of Mental Health and Wellness Initiative. Jocelyn has a wealth of experience in mental health and community care. As a licensed professional counselor and a registered art therapist who is also theologically trained, she provides trauma-informed services to many diverse groups and communities. We welcome you, Jocelyn, this morning. Each time you speak and present, there's a crowd that gathers. Whether in our packed full workshops at the recent General Assembly, to the retreats and sessions you lead across the country, thank you for the work you do and the programs you lead for MBA. Reverend Bede Gelsoto. Reverend Bede serves as pastor with Iglesia Hermandad Cristiana in Indianapolis. And she's also serving as our MBA Peer Learning and Wellness Group convener. In the last 4 years, Pastor Bede has convened and created an atmosphere of brave and creative space for 2 peer learning groups, which we hope to hear a lot more about in our discussions. We're so grateful you're here for this conversation, Pastor Bede, because of the meaningful ways that you know what's happening in the lives of disciples, pastors, and leaders. You also have maintained this bright light of optimism and hope for nurturing strong, supportive systems that allow for people to shine and flourish in ministry. So thank you. And finally, my name is Reverend April Luton, and I serve as MBA Vice President of Development and Marketing. Since 2012, I have been committed to supporting the vision of creating communities of compassion and care with and through the MBA. The kinds of programs, services, and to be honest, tremendous strength of leadership and people in the wider MBA network is what keeps me saying yes each day. As MBA, we have the privilege and the honor of connecting people and ministries in the fields of health and social services. And as we know, this is no small task. The needs for people are real, and our communities seek to be made whole. And what MBA does matters in local settings and across the US and Canada. So thank you all for being here. Before we launch into some questions, we would be remiss if we did not say thank you to the supporters and donors to Disciples Mission Fund. As a general ministry, MBA is a beneficiary of Disciples Mission Fund. We receive on average $250,000 of support each year as part of our allocation of DMF. These gifts go directly to the mission of education, companionship, and resources for partner organizations and the people we accompany. We don't take lightly this generosity, and as MBA, we are grateful for the active partnership, support, and prayers that you all provide. Okay, so good peeps, here's the first question. We ready? The theme of DMF Day is doing more together than we can alone. This is both a value and a commitment. As you know, at MBA, we use the word pretty frequently, pretty daily, collaboration. In fact, it's one of our core organizational values. So if you would, let's go around and offer a word or an image or a moment that you can recall in which you have experienced collaboration in your work with MBA. So we're going to start with Pastor Bede, and then we'll go to Jocelyn, and then Pastor Richie. So Bede, please.
Yeah, I think that just as you said, collaboration is part of our core values, and I experienced it in my work as a peer learning and wellness group, or as we say, peer group convener. Since the very first moment that we start dreaming of a peer group, and we talk with each other, with other programs, we hear stories of other programs going on, and we try to sense and discern the need for the different peer groups that are needed, that we could collaborate with others, whether as it's been my experience with Obraisana, or as it's been other peer groups with NAPED or National Convocation or regions. And so I think that from the very essence of at least the work that I get to do with MBA, collaboration is at every step of the way. And I could go on and on, but I also want to give a little bit of time to my colleagues. And I will talk more about how that collaboration has been experienced and felt, not only in the work by myself or on myself, but with the peer group members and the stories that they have shared.
All right. Well, I will jump in and say, one of the things that I think about or I see when it comes to collaboration, this image is the image of the corner. And I am excited to say that because we have collaborated with some of our mental health partners, with many of our leaders across the life of the church who are Black, Hispanic, Latin, Indigenous. and Asian American Pacific Islander to create this model of a BIPOC clergy retreat. And that is a huge collaborative space that we have engaged in most recently. And I think about, what does it mean to have a corner, a place where people are coming together, where the lines are converging, and we're able to share with one another, which is a huge part of all of the things that we do in our work at MBA, but specifically when I think about some of the things we've been doing with mental health. And I am excited for you all to see this model that we have created. I actually have my first version of the actual booklet here. And so thank you, because the way that you all collaborate with us helps us to do this work and to put things in our hands and other people's hands as well.
I'll continue to just jump in that. Thank you, Jocelyn and Betty. For us, or when I say us, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, our very existence being curated by the organization and in ways of helping us to become anti-oppressive and anti-racist in our mix, to be able to have conversations and to respect the image of each and every one of not only the staff but also from the trustees. The fact that we create a space that allows for everyone to have a voice and to have power in conversation, and watching just a room full of talented and gifted individuals honoring each other in such a way, and doing the necessary work. Some of us love phrases these days about the things that we claim to be, but to be a witness to how the Board of Trustees and the staff take very seriously and have opportunity to engage, and that collaborative spirit comes through that every time that we meet. It's an exciting time to see each other, not just for the fellowship, for the possibilities of what we can achieve together as we continue to live out this commitment more seriously, more deeply. And so I see this on a consistent basis, and so I'm really excited every time I get together with our colleagues and friends.
Thank you all. Thank you. Okay, so we have another question. I'm going to give some context. Disciples historian and author Dr. Daisy Machado writes that the Stone Campbell movement reached the borderlands of Texas and Mexico as early as 1824, when parts of Texas were still part of Mexico. Disciples in Puerto Rico can trace their lineage to 1898, when Disciples became one of many of the religious communities that entered into Puerto Rico. All of this is to say that since the 1800s, our Christian church, Disciples of Christ, have been seeking ways of ministering, working, developing faithful communities within the Hispanic, Latino, Latina, and Puerto Rican communities. So this question is for Pastor Richie. Why is MBA one of the ministries that you think can and has been one of the Disciples ministries, her position to respond to the needs within Hispanic Latino communities?
Well, thank you, April. Wow. I'm going to try to do this in bite sizes, right? Because, and for those of you that are just joining in, we're so happy that you're here and you're still hanging out with us. April, thank you for acknowledging, right, that indeed the Latinx community, or the Latino, the Latina community has been present with Disciples for almost all of its existence. If you pull back from the 1800s. So for some, it might be a little jarring that, we were there, but we were there. And so was NBA, right? And so thanks to Yvonne introducing us that, we were back, it's 1886. Did I get that? Yeah, I think I got that right. So this idea of 6 women, coming together and dreaming of how to respond to needs in their community, and getting together and pulling $86.76 together. In these days, it may not sound like a lot, right? But you think about the 1800s, 86.76. But for some of us that are just joining in, Disciple Mission Fun Day, hooray! And so 86.76 could be a gift that you may want to contribute today, right? It's probably a week worth of coffee. these days. But anyway, the $86.76 did accomplish such an incredible work, and it demonstrated their acknowledgement of an interdependence. And so I use that as an example for us as Latinos and Latinas and the Latinx community. We have indeed been known to be collectivists in culture, to depend on each other. So for us, this notion of having an abuela or a friend or a neighbor, all being considered la familia, the family together, and where one doesn't have sugar, the other does, and so the opportunity to be able to do life together. And so, yeah, it says a huge complexity of our existence within this denomination, this church, this beautiful church that we share together. However, in its experiences, NBA recently, I wouldn't say over the last probably 10 years, you could kind of see some of its progression, but providing programs like the social entrepreneurship program and mission and ministry grants who have been life-changing for us. Those of us still can see we are in the pandemic. I don't want to, whether we're post-pandemic or however this dynamic, but when the pandemic set in March of 2020, we wound up seeing NBA allowing for new approaches to be able to remember communities that are marginalized, communities that come out of Latina, Latinx, existence. And so I am so proud of the ways that these funds had been processed in order for food pantries and different kinds of social needs that were met during that existence. And so again, going back to what April said, thank you for the $250,000 on average that we received because of Disciple Mission Fund. But I think it's NBA is uniquely fixed or fashion shaped in order to address some of the changes within this community, within our Latinx community, principally because of its curation of these amazing staff members. So we have two of them here that you'll hear from in a few seconds, in addition to April. But it's done with intentionality, thinking about the kinds of needs that in terms of health and social needs for our community, and how I'm so proud that it really thinks about these intricate needs within our church. And so part of your opportunity to be able to contribute is to pull away from this individualistic society that we find ourselves, this all about me circumstance, but to join into the collective approach, to be able to become interdependent, to take your $86.76 and to really change the world, to have 100+ years of existence. And I'm really excited to see what's possible. But indeed, for the Latinx community, my last 5-10 seconds about it. If you do some studies over the last 10 years in terms of entrepreneurship and communities of color, and specifically the Latinx community, I think we have the fastest growing amount of small businesses at a 40+% rate in comparison to other communities. And so for NBA to say we are here is definitely cutting edge and so needed more than ever. So thank you indeed. I hope that's helpful for you who's Google it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Pastor Richie. Okay, next question. We ready? Take a deep breath. Pastor Bede, as a convener of peer learning and wellness groups, can you offer a brief description of the two cohorts that you've helped to convene in the Latinx and Latin communities? Who were the members, generally speaking? What's one thing that you came away with following your time in leadership with them? I think on average you spent 2.5 years with members of the cohort groups. Or another way to think about it was, what was an aha moment of learning for you and maybe even within the group? So please, thank you.
Yes. So the two groups that I've been honored to lead have been peer groups that have been done in collaboration. We go again, right? We don't do things alone, we do things together. And we've done these two groups with the collaboration and partnership with Obra Hispana, realizing that there are some specific needs to our own communities. There is some specific sense of support that as first generation, 1.5 generations, second generations, or even fifth generation Latinos, Latine in the United States and disciples, we have. And so the first group that I was able to lead, it was a group of clergy, pastors, ministers working as pastors in congregations around the United States and Canada. And the main essence was that this clergy somehow, for different reasons, were not as connected to either Obra Hispana or the general church, the church at large. This lack of connection was whether either because of geographical location or lack of support of or lack of existence rather of other Latine or multicultural congregations around in the area, so they felt like in silos. Some of the reasons too were the difference in theological perspectives, the whole spectrum, because being Latine disciples does not mean that we all believe in the same way and live out our religious life in the same way. And so some of the reasons why there was some disconnection, some of them was also due to theological support and finding that group. So all that to say, that first group was very diverse in all of those senses. And it was just beautiful. And I get chills just to remember how, even as we went through the whole program, the whole journey together, during the highest point of the pandemic, we started in 2020 and we went through 2022. And so as we started the group, we found support on each other. We did not focus on what were our differences. We stayed centered on what brought us together. How can we become stronger together? And it was just lovely to see them, most of them at General Assembly, and saying, oh my gosh, I know that Pedro is here. Did you see that Shelby is here? And just trying to get together and trying to find time to continue spending together was just something that we didn't think that it was going to be that strong, that connection. And the current group, I could spend the whole day talking, but I know that Jocelyn also has some really good stuff to share with us about the mental health. But that relates to the second group. The work that Jocelyn has done has impacted tremendously. The program, the mental health initiative, has impacted tremendously the journey of the second group that I am currently leading, which is the young adult leaders. Young adult leaders of Obra Hispana in congregational setting. So these are young adults that they already have their full-time jobs. And in addition to that, they serve, most of them, on a voluntary basis, as a full-time voluntary basis in congregations, supporting the mission. And I'd say, if I think of a word that could describe this group, would be the whole African concept of Ubuntu. This idea of being able to know myself as I know you and see you, and that communal experience. Again, I'm getting chills just to think of how spiritually deep and transformative our sessions have been every month. People have become brave with themselves to accept the needs that they have without stigmas. They've become they've become brave and empowered to have those conversations with their pastors or with their congregations, with their boards, and say, this is what I need if I want to continue serving well. And it's just been life-giving to see these young adults start a journey in ministry in such healthy ways. Think that I'm not too far from them, but when I think back on how I started my ministry journey, I wish I would have the opportunity to have a support group like these folks have in the peer group, to see myself as I see them and grow in a stronger way in my ministry. So I would love to talk with everybody else, anyone who is watching this live, either live or recorded, to see how a peer group could be fit for you, because we have peer groups for so many different areas of ministry. So yeah, I'm gonna quiet myself so that we continue the conversation. If there's more time afterwards, I would love to continue to talk about this.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I get chills watching and hearing you speak about those encounters. And so thank you. All right. Next question, my colleague Jocelyn. You have worked with the Hispanic, Latinx communities and leaders in lots of ways through the Mental Health and Wellness Initiative, from workshops to consultations to retreats, and as you've already mentioned, creation of meaningful resources. If you would, what is one aspect of resilience that you've learned or observed in your conversations and work related to mental health in the Hispanic, Latinx context? And then what is one mental health and wellness challenge that you know still needs more light to be shined on it and awareness raised within the Hispanic Latinx community? So, that resilience and that challenge, if you would.
Yeah, thank you, April, for that question. First, I want to say thank you, Betty, for your words of the work that I have been able to do with the peer group. I have thoroughly enjoyed just journeying with them as well over the past 2 years and creating their wellness curriculum and working with them through their self-care and setting boundaries and what that looks like. And so through my work with them, or my work with some of our other congregations, my work with Richie as well, and other leaders across the church, when we think about resilience and we think about cultural resilience, and I think these two questions go together about the resilience, the beautiful things that we want to celebrate alongside the challenges. When it comes to this beautiful culture, we celebrate the things that people have shared around being collectivist, being very strong, having those strong kinship networks, those strong family bonds, the ways that religion is a huge part of many Latin communities and cultures. And I think our work at NBA has been a wonderful intersection of that, to be able to bring together the faith piece, to be able to bring together the community piece and the communal support, so that people are able to strengthen their mental health. So we have celebrated in a variety of contexts, the family, the music, the food, the dancing. We have been able to celebrate and create space for language, right, which is oftentimes a barrier in a number of ways of people getting the care that they need when it comes to mental health, because of the variety of languages that exist. And so with our supporting that resilience, that cultural resilience, celebrating that cultural resilience, we have developed, a network of mental health professionals that we are continuing to build upon. People like Denise Lamas in Florida, and Sarah Serrano in South Carolina, and Myra Bedola Lopez in California, who can speak specifically to the experiences of Latin communities in their own languages and their experiences as immigrants, right, or first or second generation citizens of this country, which is important to know. So there is this resilience, and still being able to get up every day and speak your language and sing your songs and make your food and connect with your people. And we celebrate that, and we love that, and we want to continue to create those spaces to lift that up, because that is a part of good mental health. Not having to be told that you can't speak your language here, or the myriad of things that people may say in this country that is damaging, that is traumatic to the mental health of Latin communities. And so we want to celebrate the resilience and continue to build upon that good mental health by creating those spaces, by supporting those spaces, by learning about those spaces. If there's things that we don't know, it's our responsibility to learn them, right? It's my responsibility to learn Spanish, not that I have to ask someone to do something different. So we celebrate that. But when it comes to the challenges, we want to be mindful that we're not constantly talking about resilience in a way where people feel like they just always have to be resilient and they always have to be strong. And so a lot of times, especially for communities of color, Latin communities, there can be this idea that we have to be strong, that we have to be hardworking, and we have to just keep going. And so we want to create spaces where we're allowing people to address their mental health concerns, where we're telling people resilience is actually the ability to let go of the stigma and to get the support that you need, which is some of the things that we are doing with creating these models, with creating spaces to share more mental health support, more resources that are available right in the communities where people are, and connecting them with those.
I could have each of you, thank you, Jocelyn. I could have each of you respond for a lot longer than you have. So thank you even for the summary into the work that you're doing, just that snapshot. I want to take a moment again to those who've just logged on or who may not have been with us at the top of the hour. We as MBA are here giving thanks for the generosity and support the DMF provides to MBA ministries. With DMF, we are doing more together than alone. As a general ministry, MBA is a beneficiary of Disciples Mission Fund. We receive on average $250,000 of support each year as part of our allocation of DMF. And these gifts go directly to the mission of education, companionship, and resources for the organizations, the communities you've heard about today, and the people that you've heard spoken into the room. Our conversations have centered around our partnerships and work within Hispanic, Latinx, Latin disciples communities. It is one of many ways that we as MBA are responding to health and social service needs. We thought it important to spend our time today on a particular cultural ethnic community. We could, though, truly have this conversation, and I think my colleagues would nod, and offer insights about how we work and address particular needs across many communities. I think I was given the go-ahead to ask our final question to the three of you. So with the work that MBA is doing this year and into the future with Hispanic Latinx communities, what is something that you want people to know about MBA? What do you want people to know about our work and our outreach in communities? You know, what's that final kind of word that you hook that you want people to keep in mind about MBA? And let's go in reverse. So Pastor Richie and Bede and Jocelyn.
Wow. I am so grateful for this opportunity to share with our colleagues on this call. I'm inspired indeed. But one of the gifts of our community is again the interdependence, the idea. Yeah, for sure. We don't. We do more together than by ourselves. I revel, or I want to say, admire that for NBA, it's always open to listen, to provide compassion, to extend to someone out there that might be thinking of a new entrepreneurial approach, a new program, or to identify some need that they would like to address within their community. to indeed reach out and to it's nbacares.org. Two, as a regional minister, having opportunity to partner with these brilliant minds and these heartfelt individuals has been such a gift. And so I'm looking forward to doing more. We are looking forward to doing more. For the Latino community, again, we had talked about one of the fastest growing in terms of small businesses as we move forward. And I can't wait until see what is yet in store. So when you go to the website and you see all of the amount of entrepreneurs that have started new endeavors, but then to the mission and ministry that continues to exist. And that's thanks be to God for you. It's watching us for your gifts to Disciple Mission Fund. And indeed, there's so many needs, but two, the fact that we can be interdependent with each other. I'm looking forward to what the church will look like very soon, in spite of all of the other statistics that might be scaring you. So please don't be afraid. Let's do more together.
I think that for me, I would say just take a risk on yourself, take a bet on yourself, and realize that ministry, or embrace maybe the idea that ministry, whatever the ministry it is that you do, does not have to and should not have to be done alone. That's not the gospel's model of doing ministry. They were sent 2 by 2. Jesus did not do it all by himself. Even way back to Moses, his own father-in-law told him, you cannot keep doing this by yourself. And so take a risk on yourself. We as pastors, as clergy, as ministers, like to give and pour on to others and forget that we have to do that for ourselves. One of my seminary professors said, the role of a pastor is always teaching. Everything we do is teaching the congregation how to preach, how to study the Bible, how to live their life. And that includes also taking care of yourself. So I would invite you to be curious and see the plethora of options that we have for to support your ministry. One of them, speaking for my own role, is peer learning and wellness groups. There are different groups, and we're about to start a new one. Application is still open for young adults in social services. And this includes anything. It's not going to be only Hispanic or Latino. It's any young adult disciple related in social services that wants to be supported by a group for a journey of 2 years. If that's not your cup of tea, or you're not anymore a young adult like some of us lament, there might be other peer groups or other support groups that we can offer to you, or bring some other support resources to you and your congregation and your ministry. So yeah, take a bet on yourself, pour onto yourself, and let's do this work together, because we are doing it better when we do it together.
Yeah, I will say, as I left off talking about the challenges that are faced when it comes to mental health with the Latin community, with our work at NBA, we have resources, and we want to connect you to the resources that exist outside of just what we have created at NBA. We have a wealth of webinars in multiple languages. We have our booklets, our models that we're putting out. We have lists of other resources, such as LatinxTherapy.com, therapyforlatinx.com, the National Latino Behavioral Health Association, these other resources that we can connect you to. Our clergy booklet that we will be sharing with you all very soon, that I showed at the very beginning, we're available to assist you and your communities and congregations in developing your own resources. One of the things we did last year is we connected with the Pacific Southwest region and we helped them create a conference, a mental health conference. I searched for therapists who are Spanish speaking in the community there in California. And so we were able to partner with them to have them come in and speak. So there's a wealth of things that we can help you do. This is my job. This is what I get up for every day to help you. One last thing that I'll say is we have our mental health professionals conference coming up in October 6th and 7th. And we invite you, if you are a mental health professional, if you know someone who's a mental health professional, a chaplain, or in grad school, please register to come to our conference. One of the things that we are doing at the conference is we will have a wellness equity panel workshop. One of the people on the panel is a part of our mental health equity cohort. She is from Colombia. She is an immigrant. She is a therapist in Texas, Carolina Fuentes of Create Mental Health and Educational Center. And she'll be talking about some of the things that can help when you are working with immigrants in the Latin community. And so we're connecting people with all sorts of resources and therapists in their communities. And we would love to partner with you. And we thank you for your financial resources that allows us to continue to do this work.
Thank you all. Thank you, colleagues, this morning. Thank you, Pastor Yvonne, for this opportunity to take over Disciples Facebook and YouTube channels. We hope our brief time of conversation has been interesting, worthwhile, and we hope informative to you as viewers and supporters. We hope you see how your DMF dollars are at work in Disciples communities and beyond. Thank you for the gifts that you're giving today on DMF Day. Thank you for the gifts of support that will be given in the future. Truly, if you haven't heard it already, we can do together more than we can alone. We're a people of faith, and so we think it's important to lift up that whether we see you on a regular basis or connect at an event or worship service, NBA prays for each of you. We've spoken a lot about our sisters, brothers, and siblings and our disciples, Hispanic and Latinx communities. May the love, grace, and peace of an ever-present God be with each of you. You are not alone, and we are in this beloved community of God together. Thank you, and vaya con Dios.
Wow. Just incredible. Thank you, National Benevolent Association leaders, each of you, particularly as you're highlighting, right, connection and collaboration in your work. I'm reminded, right, that COVID reminded us that we're interdependent, right? That I can't be healthy. Your health is connected to mine. And that's always been true, right? But that it can be very scary to think about connecting in a peer group or connecting in community. That community is wonderful, which is part of what we celebrate today. But also, right, helping people, right, to open up. And so I'm so grateful that you've kind of, named and lifted up, right? Take a risk, right? Consider there's more to kind of be gained, right, by our togetherness and our collaboration. Than just going the road alone, and for reminding us richly of the resources that are available to each and every person, community, congregation, ministry partner. So hopefully at home, you're right, you'll join me in thanking each of our leaders, the Reverend April Luton, the Reverend Betty Del Soto, Jocelyn Spence, and the Reverend Richie Sanchez. Just so grateful. Thank you for taking time to be with us today. To celebrate our mission fund, right? Disciples Mission Fund, in a spirit of collaboration, right? We're not competing today. We're lifting up and just celebrating the goodness of God and the ways that our mission fund enables us to flourish together. So friends, if you've been inspired by right, the work that you're seeing happening in our church, if you're inspired indeed by this celebration, I want to invite you indeed to make a gift. Make a gift to our mission fund, Disciples Mission Fund. But don't stop there. Go tell a friend, post online so that others, right, know what we're doing. Others know that they're invited to this table of grace. They're invited to this station of wholeness that DMF makes possible, right, for each of us. Thank you again to the National Benevolent Association for being with us. If you're online, come on back at 1 o'clock. We're excited. We'll be met by Regional Minister of Tennessee, Reverend Dr. Crystal Williams and Clyde Hunt, our moderator. And then we're going to hear more about the Tri-Regional Partnership, regional ministers from Kansas, Kansas City, and Nebraska. It's a rich, wonderful day. Happy Disciples Mission Fund Day. Thank you so much.